something you very rarely see. In fact, I think it's only happened in public at the Dusseldorf Boat Show. And here is the Fairline F Line 33 in inboard and outboard form side by side. So I thought this was a really good opportunity to show you around these boats. I did have a quick preview look at these at Cannes, but not in detail. So I'm going to take you on board, we're going to do the full tour and tell you a lot about them. So for example, there are 3 colours for this. In the gel coach, you can have the grey, which this one is, you can have white, or you can have blue, but they will also wrap them for you in any colour you want. So this one next to us, this sort of sky blue, this is a wrap. You'll notice on the wrap they only do the outside, they don't do the cockpit, so you're not going to knock it as you walk in and out and that kind of thing. So those are your options on the outside, and your options in terms of motive power, the outboard engines you can see on the one next to us, and the inboards that we've got here. So I think what we'll do is we'll start on this one and then we'll work our way around and have a look at the differences. So the first thing that we see as we step onto here is this platform. So this is actually a folding transom. So as you can see it here, it is in what you might call beach club mode, I suppose, so it's completely open to the back, and there's a ladder that drops into those 2 sockets there so you can get in and out. They're doing another version with an inbuilt ladder. You can see this boat here has it, so that little stainless steel thing under the F-Line 33, that's a ladder that extends out and drops. You can have that on here as an alternative. And so we can step on this way and have a walk around the boat. There's some quite neat ideas with this cockpit seating as well. So for example, you can see it here is set out for relaxing and dining and that kind of thing. You can lift this right out to make it much larger, of course. But what you can also do is drop these seats the other way. And that is now giving you a really nice area to relax and look out across the water behind you, which is nice. But there's a further thing you can do, which is that this table is on an electric high-low leg. You can lower that table right down, and then these will actually drop over like this one, but they drop all the way down and flat on top of the table. That one does the same thing, and that makes this a huge sun lounger on the back of the boat, so that's really nice. If we head on past that, we've got the outside catering area, and most of the catering is done out here actually. So underneath here you've got your sink, there's an induction hob, there's an ice maker underneath, and also drawers for things like your cutlery are under here. And it is very much a cockpit orientated boat, so the idea is that you'd be out here doing your catering and that kind of thing. Underneath there is the fridge. Let's drop those back down. And then ahead of here, of course, is the business end. So this is where you drive the boat from. You've got lift bolster seats so that you can stand at the helm if you want to, or you can drop that down so that you can sit at the helm. There's even a little armrest if you want it just there. And then here's the helm. This is a nice touch. You've got buttons actually on the steering wheel for things like nav lights, horn, stereo controls and that kind of thing. It's like you have in the automotive industry, of course, but rare to find that in the marine industry. Your throttles are here and your stereo is underneath this one. And then this displays navigation, engine instrumentation and all that kind of stuff. And while we're on the outside of the boat, I will show you something else, because this I think is rather nice. You've got these nice deep sides, but to get onto the side deck you don't need to go right to the back and round, because they've put these doors in. So if we release that, that opens like that. And look at these lovely hinges, this mechanism that they've got for opening these. Quite remarkable. And then we can step up and we're on the side deck. We've got this to hold on to as we move forward, and then up on the front, more sunbathing. That's the hatch for the cabin downstairs, but of course it will flip over like so. We'll leave that up so we get a bit more light in there, and then right up to the front, and your anchor is actually then protruding out through the front just there. That's a good looking boat though, isn't it? Let's go and have a look inside. So back down the side deck, again that little door, they've got these on both sides. You can see there's another one out over there. Let's drop that back. And then on the inside, as I mentioned earlier, it's very much a dayboat orientated boat. However, there is actually a decent amount of space in here. So if we come down, there is full standing headroom, and then there's this nice dinette area so you can tuck yourself away. These are interesting. There are no windows on the outside of the boat, so that's simulated natural light. There is that hatch that we saw from up on top, but these, as I say, these are These are imitation light, which is interesting. They put a lot of lighting as well down around in places like this, so it's quite subtle. And then you've got the overhead lights as well. This you can drop, and you can make that into a double bed, but if it's just the two of you on here, you don't need to, because back behind me, you step down through here, and you find rather a lovely little two-berth cabin. Double bed, bit of storage about the place. Same on that side. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're not going to buy one of these instead of a Fairline Squadron, but if you want a fast weekender, this will do it for overnights. It's perfect. And another very neat touch, if I reverse back at it here, is the fact, as you can see, this is all open plan right the way through, which is fine when it's just the two of you on the boat. If you have people here, you can close this off, because this panel actually is a door. How neat is that? And in fact, you can see then over on this side, there's another door, and that takes you into the heads. And in here, everything you need. There's a shower, there's the sink, there's the toilet, and then these open for storage. I try to knock the objects over. There we go, I succeeded too. What else can we find? More little cubby holes about the place. So you've got a bit of storage. And in fact, there's also another fridge in here. If we open this one, there we go. So at night, if you sat down here and you just want to get yourself a drink out the fridge, you don't have to go up into the cockpit to do it. It's right there. And again, a bit more storage there and there. So for a sports boat or a weekender, surprisingly practical. And nicely finished too. The quality in here is lovely. So that is the inboard version, and we should have a look at the inboard engines while we're at it, because we need to talk about performance, and performance is what this boat does. So there's a hatch down here, and then here's a button marked lift, and that then powers up this whole back section of the cockpit. So if we bring that all the way up, that's what makes it go. That is a pair of Volvo Penta V8 430 horsepower engines, and they give it the performance to match the look. So I was talking to the guy from Fairline, and he said they've had 50 knots out of this boat. It's an absolute flying machine. He reckons the sweet spot for cruising is sort of 30 to 35 knots. It's very comfortable, both in terms of performance and in terms of the ride at that sort of speed, but you have got some serious oomph there if you want it and need it. 50 knots, that's flying on a boat of this size. Really good. Range, well, at cruising speeds, you're probably a couple of 100 miles, something like that. Let's drop that one back down. Now you might have noticed that there's a hatch in the hatch. The point of that is so that if you couldn't get that hatch up for some reason, battery failure or whatever, you can get in there, get at the batteries, get things charged up and open it. So it's just sort of almost like an emergency access, if you like. Good. That's the inboard version. Let's go and look at the outboard version. Ooh, try to fall in. So the obvious difference with this, of course, is the outboard engines. Twin 400s on here. It's giving the boat, I'm told, about 48 knots flat out. So a knot or two down on the other one. But it comes with the outboard advantages of things like the fact that you can tilt these right out of the water. And in fact, to facilitate that, this bathing platform around the back, and that's the one thing that's usually lacking on outboard engine boats, because of course the outboards are where the bathing platform needs to be. This will rise right up out of the way, and then they can tilt underneath it. The other advantage of that, of course, is that when you're stern to berthed in the med, if it's a high quay, these steps then bring you up and onto the quay. But you can also reverse that. It drops right down into the water, and those steps, instead of coming up, come down, and that gives you a great access straight into the water. We'll go and take a look on board this one. It is broadly the same, but there's a few little differences, so let's go and take a quick look around. This is like an S-Tech flooring, in fact, they've got in here. They do an alternative of teak if you prefer it. And as we come on here, this is what I mean about the fact that if you have the wrap, and this one does, then you have the colour on the outside, but you have the gel coat on the inside. This layout is exactly the same, a slightly different table on this one, but other than that, it is very, very similar. And again, you've got the doors and the helm, The helm on this one actually is very slightly different. You've got bucket seats on this. I'm guessing that's an option. So that's interesting. The other one had more of a bench seat across there. And then that very attractive looking dash panel again. Twin screens on this one with the outboard engines. Very nice indeed. This is all the same. So galley area back here, ice maker, fridge, that kind of thing. I'll have a quick look inside to see if there's anything different, but I suspect it'll be exactly the same. And I suspect correctly because it is. So I won't go into too much depth there. We've seen it. So there we have it. That is the F-Line 33 in both guises. I think that's really interesting. Let's go back out here so we can see them both again. And there we go. Sexy looking boats. Very nice indeed. Hope you've enjoyed that one, and we'll look forward to catching you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.